It's no longer news that the XLookup function of Microsoft Excel has come to replace the Vlookup, the HLookup, and the Index and Match function. But what then is great news is that in this video, you'll be learning 6 different ways of how to effectively use the XLookup function of Microsoft Excel. You'll be learning how to look for an exact match. You'll be learning how to deal with error messages, aka if not found. You'll be learning how to use the wildcards to look for partial match, approximate match, a two-way lookup, a horizontal lookup, and how to look for multiple results in Microsoft Excel. Although the function is only accessible to those with the 2021 version and the Office 365 version of Microsoft Excel. But not to worry, I've done a previous video on how to install Microsoft Office 365 for free, so you can go watch it. Hello everyone, welcome back again to Excel with Google. So what are we waiting for? Let's get started. The XLookup function searches a range or an array and then returns the item corresponding to the first match it finds. If no match exists, then it returns the closest or an approximate match. So this sheet contains the list of some selected staff information, but what we want to do is to find and return the annual salary of each of those staff from the general list that contains all staff information, which will be found in this second sheet called staff list. So what we need to do is to go back to the point where we want to put the annual salary figures and start by typing the XLookup function. We start with the equal sign, we type XLookup, and the moment you start typing, you'll see that Excel brings up the function. All you need to do is to press the tab key to open up the bracket. Then the first argument is the lookup value, which is the staff name. Basically, we are using the staff name to find and return their annual salary. So we'll put a comma. Then the next argument is the lookup array, which is the list that contains all the staff information and where we are going to be getting the list of all staff name. And that is the sheet that contains the staff list. So we would highlight the staff name. We'll press the shift and the control key and down arrow to select downwards. And I'll be locking this with F4 because I intend copying the formula down. We put a comma. Then the next argument is the return array, which in this case is the annual salary because that is the information that we want to return. So we'll hold down the shift and control key and down arrow key to highlight downwards to select all salary. I'll lock it with F4. Since the default mode of the XLookup is the exact match, then there wouldn't be anything for us to do anymore because these other arguments are optional. So all we need to do is to close our bracket and press the enter key to give us our results. Now we can copy down across other cells to see our full results. We can see here that some of these names have error messages, and this suggests that these names were not found in our general list. So what do we do to handle these messages? What we have to do therefore is to use the if not found argument of the XLookup function. In this case, what we are saying is that if we do not find the names we are looking up for, then it should return 0. So we need to put a comma after the return array argument and put 0. So when we do that, we can press enter, then copy down. We can see that those error messages have been removed. And if we prefer to have a text instead of 0, for example, we want to use not found, then what we need to do is to put it in quotation mark. Because not found is a text, we need to put it in quotation mark and press enter. Now we can see that it has returned the result not found. But I prefer to have it as 0 if the names we are looking up for are not found in our list. Then we'll go back again, change it to 0 and press enter. So this is how to deal with error messages that come up when using the XLookup function. The if not found argument happens to be a good alternative to the if NAs and if error function of Microsoft Excel. Now moving on to the next example of how to use the XLookup function to find a partial match instead of an exact match. Let's say we only know the first name of this staff and we do not have their second name. For example, we know that there is a staff called David and we cannot remember what his other name is. And we need to find out the annual salary of the staff. This is where the partial match argument of the XLookup function becomes useful. What we need to do is to start by typing our XLookup function. We'll start with the equal sign, we'll type XLookup and open the bracket. Our lookup value is the staff name David. So we'll select the cell that contains that name. Remember, we are supposed to have a second name behind David. It's because we cannot remember that name, we'll be representing that name with a character. So what we need to do is to add an ampersand, then open a quotation mark. Then we'll type star and close the quotation mark. So this character represents the second name that would have followed David. After that, we'll put a comma. Then the lookup array will be the list that contains where the staff name David can be found. So we'll go and press the shift and control and down arrow key to select the names. There wouldn't be need to use F4 to lock the cells at this time because I don't intend copying the formula down. We'll put a comma. The return array will be the range of cells that contains the salary information which we want to return. So we'll go and select that salary information by also pressing the shift and control and down arrow key as well. We'll put a comma. The next argument, which is the if not found argument, we wouldn't be needing it in this case. Because it is not relevant to us at this time, we'll put a comma to pass it. Then the next argument, which is the match mode. So we either write out number 2 or we select the option that has the wildcard character match and we press enter. Now we can see that it has returned the salary result for David, and this can be confirmed from the list. If we choose to change the name to Eunice without the second name Veronica, you would also see that it functions appropriately. Let's say we change the name to Huma without the surname, and you can see that the result is as accurate as it is. Please note that the wildcard character can also be put in front of the lookup value in a situation where you only know the last name and do not have the first name and would prefer to search using the last name of that staff. So for example, let's take out the wildcard character and put it in front of our lookup value. So we'll open our quotation mark and type star and close the quotation mark. Then we'll put the ampersand before the lookup value. So what we are saying basically is that we do not know the first name of the staff, but anytime we put the last name of the staff contained in the list, let it return the salary result, and let's press enter. And when we change the name and say we are putting just Abrams without Laurie, you can see that it has returned the result of that staff's salary. Let's say we put Chai without the name David in front. You can see that it had also brought out the result. So this is how the wildcard character works. So moving on to the next example is how to do a two-way lookup with the Xlookup function. This happens to be a good alternative to the index and match function. Here we wouldn't just be using the staff name to find the staff salary information. Rather, we would also be needing the month for which the staff was paid. Let's say we want to look for the staff name Janetta Allen and we want to find out how much she was paid in the month of March. So we'll start by typing our function. We'll start with the equal sign and type Xlookup. So the first argument, which is the lookup value, will be the staff name Janetta Allen. Then we'll put a comma. The lookup array will be the range of cells that contains our staff name. Press the shift and control and down arrow key to select to the end. We'll press comma. Then the next argument, which is the return array. In place of the return array, we'll be typing our second lookup function. We'll type Xlookup and open the bracket. The lookup value this time will be the month March. We'll select it and press comma. The lookup array will be to select the cells that contain our month from our list. Then we'll press comma. I wouldn't be pressing F4 to lock it because I don't intend copying the formula down. The return array now will be to select all cells that has the salary information from January to April, because we may be needing the staff salary information for any of this months. So we'll hold down the shift and control right arrow key and then down arrow key to select all. Since we won't be needing any other arguments because what we are looking for is the exact match, we can go ahead and close our bracket twice because we use two Xlookup function in this formula. After that, we can press enter. We can then go ahead to confirm that the salary result for Janetta Allen in the month of March is accurate. So let's change this to Eunice Veronica, and we can see that it has provided an accurate result as well. And if we change the month to January, we would see that it has also brought the right result, which shows that this function works. Now let's go ahead to see how the XLookup function replaces the HLookup function. So going back to the same example we used initially, look at our staff list presented in horizontal format. Let's go back and start typing our formula. We'll start with the equal sign and type XLookup. We'll open our bracket. The lookup value remains the staff name which we are looking for, and we'll put a comma. The lookup array is in our staff list. We'll be selecting the range of cells that contains the staff name. So I'll be pressing the Shift, Control and right arrow key to select the whole cells to the right. I'll be pressing F4 to lock the cells because we intend to copy the formula down. Then put a comma. For the return array, we'll be selecting the range of cells that contains the annual salary of those staff. Then the next argument, which is the if not found argument, will be putting 0 like we did the first time. Then we can close our bracket and press enter. So we expect to have the same results like the first one because we are using the same information. You can see that this also works very well in place of the HLookup function. The next example is to see how we can use the XLookup function to find an approximate match. Let's say here the company wants to give a bonus to staff with different salary range. So any staff that earns anything less than 500,000 is not entitled to any bonus, but a staff that earns between 500,000 to 1 million gets 10% bonus, and where a staff earns anything above 1 million but less than 1.5 get 15% bonus, and anything above the 1.5 million salary range gets 20%. So we'll start by typing the equal sign and the XLookup. We'll open the bracket. So our lookup value at this time will be the annual salary and not the staff name, because we'll be using the staff salary to determine who gets a bonus. So we'll be selecting the staff salary, then we'll put a comma. The lookup array will be the list where the staff salary range is located. Here we'll be selecting all. We can lock it with F4 because I intend copying the formula down. We put a comma. The next argument, which is the return array, is the bonus that we would be returning because we need to determine which staff gets which bonus according to their salary range. So we'll be selecting the bonus as well, and we can also lock it with F4. We'll put a comma. The next argument, which is the if not found argument, will not be relevant to us at this time. We can skip that by putting another comma. Then for the match mode, we'll be selecting -1, which is exact match or the next smaller item. So that is the one we'll be selecting. Then we'll press enter. When we copy the formula down, we can see that the bonus applies just according to the staff salary range as required. So in the next and last example is how to use the XLookup function to get multiple results. So in this example, we want to get several results for the following staff name on this list, and here we'll be needing the staff department, the dates joined, and their annual salary. We can start by typing the XLookup function in the first cell. We'll open the bracket. The lookup value remains the staff name. We'll select it. The lookup array here would be the list that contains the staff name. We'll select all and lock with F4 because we'll copy the formula down. The return array, because we are not just looking for one information but for several information, so our return array will be to highlight all the cells that contain the information that we are looking for. So we'll select all and lock it with F4. Here we do not need any other arguments because what we are looking for is an exact match. We can close our bracket and press enter. You can see that the result spills across other cells. And when we copy the formula down, you can see that it also applies to other cells as well. David Chai can be confirmed to work in the IT department, and he joined 20th November 2018 and he earns 900,000. And if we look at Janetta Allen, we can see she works in the finance department. She joined 5th April 2019 and earns 721,000, which confirms that the result is accurate. Let's include another staff information on this list, and when we copy the formula down, we can see she gets her results as well. So this is how we use the XLookup function to get multiple results in Microsoft Excel. All these examples are several ways you can effectively use the XLookup function in Microsoft Excel. We have come to the end of today's video. I believe you learned a thing or two in this video. Please, if you did so, kindly subscribe to this channel. You should consider sharing with friends and family as well. Remember, if you have any questions, you can put it in the comment section and I'll do well to answer it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in other videos. Bye for now.